The title of the symposium is, of course, The Future of Medicine, but we are in the city of Jerusalem and not Delphi in Greece, so we're really not going to predict a lot, but we want to give you a sense of what's important to do, what may have started to do, and especially what the capability to underwrite the future might be. So I'll talk about three domains. By no means all that is going to happen in this century and beyond. It's three domains that are very important to impact on the success of improving medical health and treatment. So let's get to... So, for point number one is our medicine, where they are coming from, how good they are, and how they move in order to address the unmet medical need and give us much better, potent, specific, and safe medicines. So, I would say in the matter of where the industry is right now, we can see on the left upper side a simple graph that shows in the insert that the productivity of the industry for new medical, biological, and small molecule is actually stagnating in the last decade. The productivity continues. There are some new medicines that are coming up, but it's about the same. The important event is that when you look in the blue bars, it's very clear that the expenses to realize those productivity levels at the same level are exponential. That means that the business model of the pharmaceutical private industry to produce medicine is non-sustainable. And the response to that situation is very clear. The industry responds, and responds all the time. It's a little bit dramatic, but that's what they do. They buy each other out, and the consequences, the number come down, professionals are being laid off, and they cannot meet the unmet medical need. And in fact, in all major chronic diseases, there's no progress for about 2 decades right now. So population ages, the problem exacerbates, and the gap between the needs and what is being produced is widening significantly. So we have to acknowledge that the pharma private, those who are responsible to produce new drugs, don't meet the expectation. So we need a new business model. And the industry, some of it started to shape up, and to many of you in the community here that are coming from different organizations than the private industry, the offering is here that the only model that can replace the stagnation and loss of capability is a consortium model where the government has to step in, especially governments that hold national health services. They have to provide databases and large population capability for analysis. They also have to produce globalization of medical health information, anonymized, but globality. That will solve the rare diseases, orphan diseases, because if we have a case of 1 to 100,000 or 1 to million on a global scale, it's a very good situation to produce medicine. So governments, national health services have to be part of the solutions that we seek. Academia has to step in. Academia is an entity that has reductionist thinking, mechanistic thinking. They bring the innovation, the new molecular target, and mining the human genome. So broadly, we need that community to join. And of course, the private industry, and as the table shows to you, every entity from that consortium brings a strength. These are the red else. If you put a sigma to those capability, you create a model that probably can solve and actually leap forward and close the gaps that is mounting decade after decade. So that's one important thing that must happen in this century. It started to happen by some, but no means is complete. So remember, your government have to step in. Your academician has to get out from their ivory tower and step in and not leave the private industry to show up a burden that they apparently cannot. The next slide is coming to the second topic, which is we move away from the medicine as it is practiced today. When you have a problem, you go to the doctor, and the doctor makes his best, we believe, to understand what your problem is and give you some remedy, if he can. That has to change because it does not basically address the causes of diseases. So we have to move for preventive, for predictive, and preventive. So the slide shows you if you want to prevent something, you have to know what's coming at you. We have today capability to know that. So in the 4 upper boxes, the world doesn't care. People talk about gene and proteomics, things like that. We have the capability to know from birth, before the birth actually, we can know what this embryo may look like in the passage of life. In order to be able to deal with the aging problem, we have to start at the embryonal level. We can get cells, we can get material, we would know what the makeup. Certainly the okay, we do not discard his placenta and his umbilical cord, we collect all of it. We collect the person's own cells and we create his bank of replacement treatment, engineer cells, organ engineering and so forth, in order to get that passage right and be able to step in months and years and decades ahead of a problem like Alzheimer and other things. We would be able to know about that risk by looking into various components that make it up in early stages of life. So for the first book, I would say integrated system and following all the makeup of the embryo, the newborn, as people get to the adulthood and then to aging. This package of information needs to be always on board, and as my previous speaker has indicated, the capabilities are all there. And what would realize it is basically the law set. We will be able to repair, we will be able to replace, we'll be able to integrate the system. So this century is about moving away from you have a problem, you complain, you go to a doctor, and maybe he may be able to do something. Assessment on risk and getting ahead of the curve is the name of the game for this century. So the third component of my talk would be very simple to say, we are going to a totally different era. Okay, we are going to basically into a situation that had absolutely no precedent, because so far medicine has dealt only with one thing, is what you have. You build and you manipulate of what you have. So in the history of drug making of human mankind, there was an empirical period. We experienced, we tasted, we experimented, and we moved all along to a scientific area that is very young, only 2 centuries. And on the past 50 years, we laid out foundation, what's called the synthetic biology. It's not anymore just about what your makeup is and how we can work with what you bring into your life. It is what we can engineer and make it different. As we said, the umbilical cord cells from a baby will lay foundation to build your new organs. For example, if you have diabetes and you have no insulin, and sometimes it's type 1, very young people would have it, if you are taking the umbilical cord stem cell, okay, and the person develops diabetes type 1 in the age of 14 or 16, you build his new pancreas. And so also replacement cells for heart and brain. All those cells can be differentiated and be replacement part. So we are going to build new organs and new capability, and in fact you can extend it to say that synthetic biology in the new era that just started, probably in that decade, okay, is going to totally change the prospect of life, because you can choose to actually deliberately say, I want to have better muscles. I have muscles with more capability because I want to win a marathon. So you can extend the medicine into many different directions that are fulfilling wishes that are not necessarily disease-oriented. So going to the next slide is basically summary what synthetic biology can bring about. Many different changes, and the bottom line is it's a quality of extended life. That's what's in stake, because quality of life as it is right now is rapidly declining in old age. And how to preserve extended life with the qualities necessary, synthetic biology can bring with that solution. So the last slide would say another important concept is everybody will have his own disease. If you like it or not, it doesn't matter if you are called asthma or diabetes or Alzheimer or osteoarthritis. Everybody has his own, in a way, his own disease. And therefore, being able to deal with drugs that work for you and drugs that works for you based on your own capability in your own body, your own cells engineered, will be the name of the game. So I think that you need to look forward to this century as being able to actually deliver many of those needs and capability. Thank you very much.